Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is William Heinman. I'm your host, and this is Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job, well, or they pooch screw it up. Hey guys, this one comes to us from Here's the Deal. Go over to Here's the Deal and show them some love. Hit their subscribe button. Tell them I sent you guys over there. Also, hit the like and share and the thumbs up, if you would. Also, while you're here, I almost forgot. Duh. We got to 3,900. We're trying to get to 4,000, guys. You guys are rocking. Thank you very much for the subscriptions that you have given me. I appreciate it so much. I cannot thank you enough. So hit the subscribe button, please. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the like and share and leave me a comment. Now, this one here is, and the reason I'm doing this is because there is I don't know where to start. Okay. A gentleman bought a car, equipped it to look like a police car, got a uniform, and is wearing a ball-headed mask. Okay? So he pulls into the driveway with his lights on, goes up to the door, and shoots the homeowners. Okay? They are Democrat senators. Let's get into this and we'll go from there. All right? Here we go.
I have no doubt you've already heard what happened to the lawmakers in Minnesota. Just in case you hadn't, let me just give you the real quick and dirty. On June 14th, which was Trump's Military Day parade and the No Kings protest, two Minnesota Democratic lawmakers were targeted in what they claim is a politically motivated shooting. State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed in their Brooklyn Park home. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were shot and injured in their Champlin home about 9 miles away. Now, this guy's going to describe what happened and why they actually went to Hortman's home after what happened to Senator Hoffman. The suspect, who's they claim is 58-year-old or 57-year-old Vance Luther Bolter, allegedly impersonated a police officer. And that's what I want to highlight in this video right here. We constantly say if cops come to your door, one of the worst ideas that you can possibly have as they're knocking is to open that door for them. And this is just another reason why you don't want to open that door. You want to get on the other side of the house. You want to take cover. You want to make sure that you have what the Second Amendment describes as arms. So this guy used a fake police officer uniform. He was driving a police car complete with lights. Police claim they found a manifesto with a list of over 50 names, mostly Democrats and abortion rights advocates, in his vehicle, along with a whole bunch of No Kings protest flyers. And Bolter, who does have a security background and Wisconsin ties, remains currently at large with a $50,000 FBI reward for his capture. And the manhunt has extended to South Dakota, and his wife, Jenny Bolter, has been detained. But I want to focus on, and I guess one other important thing to highlight is that this Bolter guy, Vance Bolter, was appointed to the Minnesota Governor's Workforce Development Board in 2019 by Governor Tim Walz and was serving as a business member until 2023. So listen to what this guy says. This is the police chief from Brooklyn Park. Listen to what this guy says. Let's break it down.
Okay, and before we get into that, I want to point out something. You know, you hear us say, don't trust police, don't trust police. This is why you don't trust the police. This is a perfect example. They knock on the door, talk to them through the door, talk to them through a window. Do not open that door. Now, if they have a warrant, they're going to break it down anyway. So it doesn't matter, okay? The worst thing you can do is open your door. I'm sorry. That's the way, that's where, this is the way we live in this society now. You can't trust these guys. I've been saying this and saying this and saying this. And until you people get off the couch and out of your chair and start getting a hold of your legislators, your governors, your mayors, you know, all the people who make laws, and tell them that you want this to stop, you know, with this thin blue line crap. This is going to keep happening. This is not the first time that somebody's ended up being in a fake badge, you know, in a fake car. We hear that, you know, women are pulled over and raped and killed all the time. You know, and I hate to say that as a guy because it makes me look like I'm a dickhead, and that may be, but it's not right, okay? These guys have earned the hate by misrepresentation, lying, cheating, stealing, dealing drugs, dealing weapons, stealing money, you name it. And cops have done it. And they've been caught doing it. That's how we know. But yet, you keep opening the door to these people. These cops are not good, man. I'm telling you. And unfortunately, that's the way it is today, in today's society. Now, not all cops, but most of them. And unfortunately, the bad ones make it bad for the good ones. You know, it's just, that's why we have speed limits, because people can't control themselves. You know, they think it's okay to go 80 miles an hour through a school zone. You know, hello, you know, these cops have a 15 IQ. I have no idea what this bald-headed crap is about. You know, you see all these deputies, all these sheriffs, all these police officers, you know, with a shaved head. I don't get it. You know, be a grown-up, okay? Do your job, do it well, and move on, and earn the respect of people. But you guys can't do that because you have this thin blue line. You know, one of your boys in blue shoots somebody, y'all pack around him like a bunch of wolves. Oh, we're going to save him. Well, what do you expect? Remember, guys, these clowns are not your friends. And this just makes it worse. You know, I don't know.
Police department. The question is, how did we get to Representative Portman's house, and it was proactively or not. The circumstances that unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, a representative that lives in our community.
So this sergeant was at Senator Hoffman's home and seen what had already happened to Hoffman and said, you know what? I wonder if the same thing's going to happen to Melissa Hortman. I better get on the horn and tell my police officials and my fellow Thin Blue Line gang that maybe they're on their way there too. Sounds to me like there might be some inside information going on. I'm not sure.
Proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door.
And here's what that police officer at the door looked like. Hold on to your hats. There you go. This is supposed to be a screen capture of Vance Bolter at the door of Melissa Hortman. And this guy's wearing a mask, obviously. He's got a police uniform. You can't see it because the lower chyron right here covering it up, but you can see there's a taser. He's got a vest on. He hopped out of a police car that has lights on. He's got a bright flashlight. Everything that a cop would do if they came to your door. And this guy with the mask on looks eerily like the police chief.
Out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
And that is why you don't want to answer the door, even if the guy on the other side of the door tells you he's with the police department.
And if they have a warrant, they're coming in anyway, so it doesn't matter. Don't open the door.
Listen to the
And I don't care what the cops say. If it's dark and you don't feel safe, put on your hazard lights, drive drive slowly until you find a place that's good to park or good to stop. Every single solitary judge will tell you the same thing. And if these cops get out of line because you didn't pull over right away out in the middle of nowhere, too bad. Sue the crap out of them, and they're going to learn.
advice this police chief is going to give about that very instance.
Was this an actual police officer or impersonating a police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So Chief Curley, janitorial care 11, the person not only was wearing a badge posing as a police officer, when they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes,
Just another reason to be genuinely, legitimately concerned about being pulled over or encountering a police officer in any way in any avenue of life.
they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
If they were in this very room, you would assume that this guy was one of us. And guess what? His actions are not even distinguishable from us, because this guy was agitating. He was acting as a domestic terrorist. He was there to violate rights. He was going to justify his tyranny. He, by wearing the badge and uniform, was pretending to hide behind qualified immunity. And under the color of a police uniform, he was there to take life. No different from what the cops do to us every day as they live as agitating domestic terrorists, depriving people of their rights, which is a violation of 18 USC 242, deprivation of rights under color of law.
Can you describe the moments after that played out? You said the person went into the home, and then can you help us understand the next 10, 15 minutes of how we got to the point we're at now?
Yeah, briefly, although I'm just going to remind us that this is an absolutely active investigation. We have thousands of people sheltered in place in the city of Brooklyn Park right now. We are in an extensive manhunt involving hundreds and hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams searching, gridding off areas as we believe confidently the suspect had fled out the back of the house after being confronted by the police.
Okay, whoa, I'm going to stop this. You have hundreds of police officers that can't find one guy. See, and this goes to show you these guys couldn't find their ass with both hands if they were sitting on them.
Hundreds of police officers and SWAT teams all over a large region, gridding off sections and violating other people's rights as they conduct a manhunt. That is what is going on.
Very briefly, after the officers had exchanged gunfire and the suspect retreated into Melissa's home, they immediately went up to the threshold and looked in and seen a male that was down, clearly had been struck by gunfire. They made limited penetration, grabbed a hold of the male and drug him out to safety to attempt first aid. However, he was pronounced dead shortly after that. At that point, the officers surrounded the house, got additional resources and SWAT resources, and then ultimately went in with a drone identifying a female in the home.
How far apart are the two scenes? About 8 miles?
I would say, yeah, somewhere around 5 or 6 miles apart.
How much do you know about did the person that was impersonating an officer who allegedly shot these people, did they knock on the door and people came to the door, or did the person break into the home?
Yeah, it was knocking on the door and asking the person to come out, absolutely impersonating a police officer.
This is another reason why you don't want to trust the cops. The cops are bad enough. The cops, many will argue, are worse than Vance Bolter, or at least on the same level, because Vance Bolter was willing to blow away the occupants of the house. Just like, say, Gary Willis was blown away back in 2017 or 2018 when they issued and enforced that very first red flag gun confiscation law in Maryland that ended with Gary Willis no longer being with us. So there's no difference between the actions of Vance Bolter and a local police department that does something like, eliminates Daniel Shaver, an innocent Daniel Shaver in the hallway of La Quinta Inn in Mesa, Arizona, or unaliving and quickly dispatching a Johnny Hurley who just got done saving the Arvada, Colorado Police Department from a mad gunman, and the list can go on and on and on.
We do have the
Yeah, for instance, the husband and wife in Texas that were killed, and the officer ended up in prison. So these boys in blue are not the saviors that they are trying to, show us that they are. They're thin blue line scumbags that, are trying to cover their ass because somebody, dressed like them, drove a car like them, and killed people. These ball-headed clowns do the same thing.
suspect's car. Suspect is on foot. That is what the large-scale search is currently going on. I just remind residents of Brooklyn Park, I know it's been a long time, but those that are in the grid that we gave the alert out to continue to shelter in place. We're also reminding them that if
shelter in place, guess what? Guess what happens typically? I don't know if it's happening here. I wouldn't doubt if it was. But typically the order to shelter in place is if they see you out mowing your lawn, walking your dog, going to the store. Hey, we got everything cordoned off. We got everything shut down. You need to shelter in place. If you're not sheltering in place, this is basically this temporary curfew, all hours of the day curfew while they're conducting this manhunt. And guess what happens? Individual rights gets placed on the chopping block in the name of the safety of the people. We've got a manhunt. There's a dangerous person out there. We need to get him. Therefore, you need to give up your rights and you need to let us trample them. Oh, by the way, we're not asking you. We're telling you we're going to trample your rights.
comes to the door and they knock on the door.
Okay, here we go. Here's his prescription for dealing with somebody who may be impersonating a police officer and trying to distinguish if that's a real police officer or a fake police officer.
We're also reminding them that if somebody comes to the door and they knock on the door and claiming to be a police officer, please do a couple things. One, call 911 and confirm that the officer belongs there. If they are a police officer, dispatch will be able to confirm that that person is a police officer. Also, we've informed all our officers in Brooklyn Park that they are not to approach anybody by themselves. They're to approach in pairs, meaning two officers. So if there's only one officer outside the door, do not answer the door and call 911. If it's a Brooklyn Park police officer or any of our partners that are assisting, they will come in pairs of two or more.
Oh, look, honey, it's the Brooklyn Park Police. They've come in pairs. You don't think criminals are watching the news? Hey, Frankie, I got something for you. Let's break out those uniforms. The Brooklyn Park Police Chief just said that if they're at your door in pairs, then they are with the Brooklyn Park Police. Real smart, Police Chief. Real smart. You know, it's a real problem that I've got and a lot of other people have, where you can't distinguish between real cops and fake cops because they're both abusing you and threatening your rights and jeopardizing your lives on the same exact plane.
And keep in mind, that these cops have an IQ of 15. So they're not the brightest tools in the shed. And I hate saying that, but this is what we have to deal with on a daily basis. You stomp on rights, you lie, you cheat, you steal, you kill indiscriminately, and then you're asking us to forgive you. What kind of a clown are you?
I don't think I said anything, like when you knocked on the door, did he say anything to like Senator Hoffman or anything?
We do know that he did, but I'm going to hold that back as part of the investigation right now.
You guys did detain someone for
We're going to hold that back as part of the investigation. Why?
information?
Another question I have is, why do we only have a couple of still frames at this point? Now, maybe in the future, they're going to release the actual Ring camera video of what this guy looks like and what this guy actually did. But right now, all they're releasing to the public, this is a public interest story. If you really care about the safety of the people, won't you let them see everything? Or are you going to keep everything under wraps it's under investigation, but so we can't tell you right now? Another thing you all should know is that this imposter police officer left a manifesto, of course.
I will tell you, when we did a search of the vehicle, there wasn't a manifesto that identified many lawmakers and other officials. We immediately made alerts to the state, who took action on alerting them and providing security where necessary.
Oh, good. We have more armed agents protecting political parasites. Whew. Thank you, officer.
And that's about, I'll stop there.
What do you expect when political parasites and the law enforcement class, so you've got the political class and the law enforcement class aligning themselves against the peasants, creating laws that make us less free, creating laws that economically terrorize everybody? What do you expect when some of those peasants happen to rise up and go, you know what? Enough is enough. I ain't going to take it anymore. And then they snap. This isn't an endorsement of any of those activities, of course, but really, what does the rational person expect to happen when you keep on poking and you keep on prodding and you keep on harassing and you keep on economically devastating and you keep on caging people and separating and ruining families? What do they expect is going to happen? So the bottom line is we have an imposter police officer who is agitating, who became a domestic terrorist, who took the lives of innocent people, which is no different from the actions of the police officer that are hunting down this fake police officer, depriving people of rights under the color of law and protecting and serving and not expecting any kind of blowback from that by the peasant class is lunacy. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below, and I will see you in the next video.
Okay, guys. So anyway, if you want to see the original one, go over to Here's the Deal. Information's down below. It's just, I can't tell you guys enough. You know, if a cop knocks on a door, talk to them through the door, talk to them through a window. Do not open your door. You know, you put a window down just enough to talk to the officer. Doesn't need to be all the way down. If he has a problem with it, tough shit. He has to follow the law just like everybody else. And all these lawsuits that you and I pay for needs to come to a stop. They need to start paying for it out of the pension funds. I've said this, and said this. And I'm sure you guys are getting tired of hearing me bitch. But I'm telling you, get off the couch, get off your easy chair, put the popcorn down, put the beer down, and start writing letters and making phone calls. Be nice when you do it. Be polite. You always catch more bees with honey than you do vinegar. But until we stand up and take this back, this is what's going to happen. And if you think this is political, you're out of your mind. This is not political. This is somebody that got pushed and pushed and pushed and got tired of it and went on a rampage. I believe you guys call it postal. Not sure why, but okay. So let me know what you guys think. Remember, don't trust the police. They're not your friends. Record them at all times. Also, public officials, because you can't trust them either. You know, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now remember, do something good for somebody else because it may just come back to you. Guys, have a good one. Be safe. And I hope to talk to you again soon.